They never saw you coming. They believed they could alter reality, conceal the truth, and go on unharmed. But they underestimated you. You are not just a spectator. You are the power that they dreaded, the one who sees through fraud, the person who refuses to stay silent. You're not here by chance. Everything you have been through, every instinct warned you that something was wrong. Every instant, you felt the weight of hidden realities crushing on your spirit. Everything had been planned in advance. You're not like them. You do not flee from the truth. You've exposed it. You do not shrink in the face of darkness. You bring the flames. And now, the moment they believed would never come has arrived. Their civilization was founded on falsehoods, and their alliances are crumbling as justice approaches. They believed they were untouchable, but they didn't count on you. They didn't expect someone who wouldn't turn away, who wouldn't give up, who would stand amid the storm and tell the truth when no one else would. This is your power. This is your moment. The reckoning is not coming. It's already arrived. And you? You were meant for this. Spiritual vision is an awakening that dispels illusions, tearing down the facades that others confuse for reality. It doesn't softly nudge. It strikes like a hammer against the untruth that exists. To own this sight is to be saddled with a constant awareness, a consciousness that never rests. Ignorance is not a luxury, and shadows provide no consolation. Only the cutting severity of realizing the falsehood exposed is not random. It is meticulously crafted, with layers of deception to keep the mind contained. The falsehoods are not only uttered, they are woven into the fabric of everyday existence, creating an elaborate labyrinth in which reality is disguised by artifice. Reality is a tapestry of disguised distortions that are meticulously maintained in order to keep people bound inside it unaware. Recognizing this carries a weight that few can bear. A reality so raw that it isolates as much as reveals. Seeing does not come without consequences. It is to reside on the outskirts of comprehension, where the unseen connections that bind others are as obvious as daylight. The most terrible aspect is not the deceit itself, but the failure to examine it. The structure stays intact, hinged because it is comfortable, and those who are immersed inside it avoid the unpleasantness of exposure. Awareness does not just disclose. It isolates those who possess it, requiring them to walk among the blind, knowing that their words will often be dismissed by others who detect a quiet recognition and unsaid kinship between those who have seen beyond the curtain. This common awareness is both a burden and a call. It demands action, forces speech, and refuses to be silenced. The desire to dispel the illusion and bring light into gloomy areas is a greater urge than fear. Resistance is unavoidable. To reveal the truth is to jeopardize the structures based on falsehood. However, the weight of knowledge is not intended to be disguised. It is supposed to be used. Those who travel with unclouded vision are not alone. They are members of an invisible force, a stream flowing against the tide of illusion. Consequences are not random events. It represents the underlying equilibrium of existence. Those who control, lie, and plot against the natural order unleash energies that will return to them unchecked. There is no deed without weight, no falsehood without consequence. The disintegration begins slowly, with a hint of unbalance and a small distortion in the meticulously managed illusion. But the cracks expand, and what was before unnoticeable becomes evident. The invisible hand that previously secretly steered events is now entangled in its own strands. The alignment of justice is not delayed or reduced. It is an unstoppable force that will not fail. Reality does not forgive those who breach its harmony. It just waits, observing as the repercussions unfold with unerring accuracy. Walking the road of dishonesty is like weaving a curse into one's own destiny. They assume that their cleverness will protect them and make their wrongdoings disappear. But the weight of their decisions sticks to them like a second skin. Their lives unravel not by chance, but by necessity. What they formerly controlled is now slipping through their fingertips. Bonds break, security fades, and the echo of their actions returns in whispers, reminding them that the price must be paid. This is no temporary penalty. It imprints itself on the fabric of their ancestry, an invisible mark that is felt over time. The debt people incur is not solely their responsibility. It ripples outward, burdening all who follow. There is no avoiding this judgment. There is no begging for exception. Justice doesn't seek revenge. It restores homeostasis, taking responsibility for their own acts. They stood together, bonded by their same desire. Each is feeding off the hunger of the others. Their togetherness was never based on trust. It was a convenience, not a goal in itself. They planned quietly, moving like shadows in search of power. Believing in their joint might made them unbeatable. But underlying their prepared commitment was something considerably more fragile. You recognized it before they did. The cracks in their foundation, the hidden worries that poisoned their every action. Their partnership was not a power. It was a delicate machine kept together by the same greed that would finally tear it apart. They tied themselves with secret pacts entwined in a web of mutual self-interest, unaware that treachery was already brewing. One mistake, one change in the wind, and all they crafted would shatter into irreparable shards. Each turns on the other. Their despair overwhelmed them. What is constructed on falsehood cannot last. A reckoning does not wait till they collapse under their own weight. It quickens the shape. They feel it now. The walls were closing in a tight grasp of their own deceit. Their murmurs get frenzied. Their assurance dwindles. And what once gave them confidence has turned into fear. Power obtained by manipulation is an illusion. It provides no shelter. When the storm hits, they think their secrets have been buried. However, the truth has already started to emerge. They won't fall together. They'll be ripped apart. Each is left to bear the consequences of their conduct alone. When survival is on the line, allegiance evaporates. The edifice they erected was never a fortress, but rather a cage. And now the walls are collapsing, locking them within the wreckage they created. This is your time. Subscribe now, and let us work together to achieve greatness. Deception is never motionless. It spreads, shifts, and devours everything it touches. Each falsehood said does not just disappear. It lingers. Growing roots entangle both the deluded and the deceptive. The weight of each created word affects the energy of reality, altering the natural flow of life. What starts as mild aberrations quickly gains pace, growing beyond control. The architects of deceit assume they are masters of their plans. However, the forces they unleash do not stay submissive. Falsehoods foster confrontation, with voices refusing to be hushed and increasing in the unseen. Until they manifested in unmistakable ways, the signals were always there. Fractures in their illusions and discrepancies in their performances. The slow crumbling of their well-crafted tales. Nonetheless, they continued, underestimating the likelihood of exposure. A single act of dishonesty was never intended to be isolated. It was always intended to grow, forging a route towards something even more terrible. The day comes when avoidance is no longer an option. The vibrations of unbalance become palpable, infiltrating the lives of individuals who assume they are immune to consequences. Hesitation replaces confidence. Uncertainty clouded their previously measured decisions. The subtle warnings morph into something considerably more severe, a power that does not bargain. Then the price is required. The cost of their acts is not only symbolic, it is real and irrevocable. Final. A threshold is passed. From that point on, there is no going back. Whether the consequence of purpose or the havoc their acts caused, the end remains the same. Something is gone forever. Their arguments disintegrate in the face of what has been put in motion. Regret is pointless when the obligation has already been paid. What was sacrificed in the sake of control? Was it greed that motivated them? Desperation. The desire for control over something that was never supposed to be theirs. These questions are no longer relevant. The answer is inscribed in the ruins that remain. No dishonesty results in quiet. Every lie exacts a toll, and that toll is never less than everything. They were not prepared to lose. Guilt is not limited to those who organize evil. It also includes others who remain silent while watching. The lack of action is an act in itself, a silent acceptance that permits devastation to take hold. The hands that dealt the last blow aren't the only ones soiled. The weight of inactivity falls as hard on those who stood at the edge of the storm, thinking their distance exempted them. But silence is never neutral. It feeds the same forces that it claims to combat. Those who quietly express their approval. Those who choose the ease of looking aside. Those who permitted the inevitable to happen in exchange for their own safety. The consequence affects everyone involved. They may have felt they were immune, but the echoes of their cooperation reached them all the same. Justice is not fooled by the pretense of inactivity. To witness and stay unaffected is to agree with what has been done. No action occurs in isolation. No consequence can move without affecting everyone concerned. They assumed that their silent cooperation would protect them from responsibility, but the consequences of their decisions have already defined them. The reckoning is not discriminatory. It respects all hands that contributed, whether via force or quiet. If you are experiencing an excess of divine love in your heart, now is the moment to share it. You may help spread God's blessings by clicking the super thank you button on YouTube and donating $20 or more. This wonderful gift will affect not just your life, but also the souls of countless others. Each of you has a holy position in God's great purpose via this platform, and your giving will provide fruit for our prayers. Act now. Share your riches to exalt His kingdom, since you were meant to do much more in God's loving hands. May God bless you. Justice does not hesitate. It makes no distinction between those who collude and those who passively allow it to happen. The weight of responsibility falls on everyone who plays a part, whether via action or omission. No deceit is beyond the reach of consequences. Those who defend the truth serve as steadfast sentinels against lying, ensuring that no manipulation remains in the shadows for long. This is not a simple belief. It is a force, a presence, and the embodiment of a balanced world. Protection is not a temporary gift. It is an indestructible armor that protects those who dare to reveal what others dread. Confronting this shield is not passive. It is an active force that is both resilient and unyielding, created by something much bigger than human aim. It is impervious to any plan, treachery, or suppression effort. It stands firm, driven not by revenge, but by an unwavering dedication to clarity, integrity, and purpose. True strength never wavers. It is rooted, consistent, and deliberate. Strength is not simply possessed. It is developed via discipline and focused activity. Let each step be an assertion, every syllable. A statement establishes control over the locations you occupy. Allow no corruption to take hold. Anchor yourself in the present. Feel the earth underneath you, the flow of energy through everything that exists. Speak words, not pleas, but rather affirmations. Surround yourself with items that minimize the traces of dishonesty. Allow fire to burn, cleanse. Let the soil absorb. Allow the air to rejuvenate. These activities are not superstitions. They serve as reminders of dominance and mastery over disorder. A calm mind is incapable of being controlled. A solid heart cannot be influenced. Resilience is the most extreme kind of opposition against forces that thrive on instability. Protection is more than just outward. It is an undeniable fact that nothing built against truth can endure. Make the jump. Subscribe today, and let's work together to achieve greatness. The foundation was never constructed on strength, but rather need. Their connection was not a partnership. There was a mutual dependence, an uneasy peace amongst self-serving minds. Fractures were evident. Long before they recognized it, tension had been building. The weight of lying presses upon the tiny strands that keep them together. They believed their building was indestructible. However, everything built on dishonesty is certain to fail. Betrayal is not what destroys people. It is intrinsic to their own construction. The unraveling does not need meddling. It's a process that began with their decisions. The illusions they created are falling under their own weight. They feel they are immune from consequences. But the reckoning has already started. The collapse is not an option. It is a certainty that arrives just when people least expect it. Guilt is not a chain that binds, removing the illusory security they urgently sought. It is a weight that crushes those who previously stood together in secret. Since the inevitable unraveling, every gaze is suspicious. Every syllable is measured. And behind every contact is the secret calculation of survival. There is no loyalty in a place polluted by fear. They no longer strategize together. Instead, they predict who will be the first to be exposed. The very basis of their deceit has turned against them, corroding what little unity they once claimed to have. Their alliance, founded on convenience rather than trust, is eroding from within. Their views no longer match, their actions contradict their words, and the need to avoid consequences exceeds any remaining feeling of togetherness. The fissures grow deeper with each passing second and slide. One error will be enough to bring their delicate veneer crashing down. The fight to sustain their delusions intensifies. The performance is tiring. Lies need regular reinforcement, yet their potency is waning. The mask that formerly masked their betrayal is peeling, exposing the discomfort that has grown underneath. Anxiety gnaws at their resolve, turning them against one another before the verdict comes. They cannot escape the consequences of their actions. The weight of their falsehood will no longer enable them to take comfort in ignorance. The light is closing in, not just revealing them, but also destroying every single illusion they believed might shield them. No deceit stays buried indefinitely. What was previously concealed under layers of fabrication is now making its way to the surface. Unstoppable and incontrovertible truth will not keep mute. It glides through the invisible, appearing in ways that cannot be ignored. Messages come subtly, sharply, and deliberately. A word whispered in the stillness of thinking. A pattern that repeats itself too accurately to be a coincidence. An energy change that affects the air around individuals who are paying attentively. Reality starts to reject the lies they spread, causing their carefully crafted narratives to shatter under the weight of what is true. The invisible does not rest. The powers beyond the physical continue to act, ensuring that what was concealed becomes revealed. Intuition sharpens, perception improves, and the parts align without explanation. When the presence of truth necessitates disclosure, no secret is safe. The past does not fade. It imprints itself in time, waiting for the moment when it will be exposed to light. Those who engineered dishonesty now face an unforgiving glare that they cannot avoid. One that understands not just what they did, but why. The moment for reckoning has already started. The illusion is disintegrating, and no power can keep it together. The barriers they created to keep the truth within are collapsing, and light is pouring in through every breach. The weight of exposure pulls upon them, increasing its hold as it peels away their illusions one layer at a time, until there is no more place to hide. They previously assumed that quiet and concealment would keep them safe. However, quiet was never a kind of protection. It was just a temporary situation. Realize your potential. Subscribe now, and let's make something spectacular. Every caution disregarded, every minute discarded, serves as proof against them. The truth does not recede. It advances, shredding their carefully constructed deceptions with a power they didn't expect. Their basis was based on untruth, and suddenly the foundation is falling under them. They no longer have control. The force they dreaded the most, the exact thing they wished to repress, has come, and it will not depart until all concealed acts are revealed. Every lie is exposed, and every single one is held responsible for what they attempted to hide. The effect of quiet was never designed to last. It was a frail barrier constructed out of fear and despair. They mistaken concealment for safety, hoping that quiet would absolve their guilt, yet unsaid agreements might keep their world together. Silence is not a sanctuary. It is a weight that tightens its hold, drowning them under the weight of their own deception. The barriers they built to hide the truth are already crumbling, undermined by the weight of what they attempted to repress. The job before you is plain. dismantle their illusion, destroy their comfort in secrecy, and expose what they wanted to hide. This is not a job for the reluctant. It is a cry for people who will not be intimidated. The force inside you is unshaken by their efforts to discourage or divert you. The truth flows through you, undeniable and unstoppable. There is no falsehood that can survive it. No attempt to hide can withstand its impact. The foundation of their falsehoods is frail, and the weight of your words will be the fatal blow that reduces it to dust. Their fears are reasonable. Every phrase you utter removes another layer of their control, revealing the fake world they have so carefully crafted. Their shadows can no longer give shelter. The energy they leave behind reveals them before they are even aware they have been discovered. Deception does not disappear. It remains ingrained in the places they previously considered secure. Every whisper, movement, and clandestine conversation is left behind, traces that cannot be removed. What they believed was hidden still vibrates through the air, clings to things, and threatens the fundamental fabric of their existence. The world has recorded their acts, and you are the one who can hear the echoes. The magnitude of their deception is not intangible. It is tangible, thick, and stifling, a presence that betrays them even before they speak. They do not fear being exposed because of what it shows. They are afraid of who will see it. You do not only unearth falsehoods, you expose the complete fabric of their deceit. What was previously concealed is already in action, breaking through the obstacles on which they depended. Their ruin is not something you cause. It was put in action long before you came. You are not a threat. They are their own downfall. Their reckoning has already started, and all that remains is for the truth to run its course. There is no way out, no other option, and no means to restore the power they have lost. They are seeing the breakdown of the illusory world they created, and with each passing second, the barriers on which they depended shatter even farther. The truth cannot be hushed, and neither will you. The weight of their deeds cannot be shared, nor can the presence of others make their shame less severe. Each bears the stain of their own decisions, an impression that cannot be transferred or removed. What they originally considered as a haven, a communal barrier of concealment, was never a safeguard. This is just a momentary postponement in the inevitable. No deceit is equitably distributed among conspirators. It clings to the soul, sinking deep, guaranteeing that everyone must accept responsibility for their role in what happened. The unraveling does not target them as a group. It separates, divides, and compels everyone to stand alone under the weight of their own culpability. They form their partnership to avoid accountability. However, it has only exacerbated their demise. The consequences of their actions resonate throughout their life, manifesting in ways they cannot control. Their alliances, aspirations, and security all deteriorate beneath the weight of an invisible force weighing on them. They are unable to escape the burden of their history. No common purpose can alleviate the load. No silent contract can reverse what has already been initiated. The truth does not forget, nor does the force that maintains equilibrium. There is no randomness in the events that happen. It is thorough, intentional, and accurate. The time of reckoning does not come too soon or too late. It appears at the exact moment at which resistance is fruitless, when the fissures have damaged the foundation beyond repair. The failure of deceit is no accident. It is an unavoidable outcome planned by a power beyond mortal control. The unraveling has its own beat, a cadence embedded in the fabric of time itself. Impatience has no function. Exposure does not need force, only presence. The truth does not have to be brought into the light. It ascends of its own accord, tearing through the illusion, dismantling facades with accuracy. Nothing secret is left undisturbed. No falsehood survives unharmed. The weight of deception suffocates those who have taken safety in their own delusions. The fall isn't sudden. It is slow, systematic, and absolute. And when it reaches its pinnacle, there will be no way out, no second chances. Only the naked, unmistakable power of truth may claim what has always belonged to it. The revelation of truth is neither delayed nor uncertain. It is an inexorable force that moves with precision until its effect is unavoidable. What is genuine will always return, no matter how deeply hidden or buried it is. It sits under the surface, collecting power and preparing to smash through any barrier put in place to keep it at bay. And when it occurs, there will be no hesitancy or resistance. The balance of justice is not arbitrary. It is a system that is activated long before its consequences become apparent. The revelation is unavoidable, and you are positioned to see its coming. You don't just observe. You represent the clarity that scares them, the presence. They cannot stay silent. The elaborate web they weave to trap others in darkness will unravel under the weight of exposure. No building constructed on untruth can endure the unrelenting power of reality. And you are at the core of this transformation, the conduit through which light pours. The force that maintains balance cannot be disputed. The ability to disrupt injustice stems from the refuse to be quiet. There is no retreat or neutrality in the midst of falsehood. Every repressed truth, every concealed reality, awaits the appropriate time. It will be said, and now is the moment. Words aren't simply sounds. They are keen weapons capable of dismantling what was intended to stay unnoticed. The narrative is unheard. The disclosures hid the knowledge that lies behind the ambiguity. These are the weapons for dismantling the illusion. To go ahead is to pull away the curtain, depriving deceit of its sanctuary. The transition does not happen in quiet. It is powered by individuals who refuse to accept the weight of concealed facts without confrontation. Speak confidently, move without hesitation, and watch as the structures designed to contain the truth crumble under the weight of their own frailty.